A cemetery in Acre still contains the graves of the three men. In a final statement before their execution, they had written, "At the end of our lives, we say to the Arab leaders and Muslims all over the world, do not trust the foreigners. We lived and died for the Arab cause." Such sentiments of anti-colonialism and pan-Arabism would become increasingly common in subsequent decades. During the first 10 years of the British Mandate, the number of Jews in Palestine more than doubled to reach 175,000. Zionists all over the world were proud of their achievement.
I am here today to ask you, my fellow Zionists, which attitude shall we take? Which of the possible attitudes that we face shall be our own? I would say to England, though I am only an American Jew, but an old-time reverencing admirer of Great Britain, I would say to England, if I could, an Arab Palestine is a threat to Great Britain and a menace to the world. A Jewish Palestine is an asset to Great Britain and a blessing to the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the toast is health and long life to the Right Honourable Lloyd George.
With Chaim Weizmann beside him, former British Prime Minister David Lloyd George reaffirmed his own Zionist credentials.
It is, as your chairman has reminded you, it is nearly 16 years since he recruited me to the Zionist movement. Palestine, barren and malarial swamps, have been converted into happy settlements. Science has been harnessed to waters which had been running wild and waste since the early days of creation.
Without vegetation and without life, empty desolation, that is Palestine.
British news bulletins at the time described Palestine as akin to a desert. The reality was very different.
الزرع ومانة الله أمانة الله إنه ما بكيت تعرف تمشي فيه هيك الزرع الخضرة تصير فيها تطلع الصبح تروحي على المكساء تهدى ريحة الخضرة تفحفح نوار هالخيار نوار هالفقوس هالبندورة ها الحبة عيفها في الشي بعد عيفها بتذكرها 100%. إم الدنيا بقت عيفها.
بالنسبة لي طبرية أجمل مدينة بل أجمل مكان في العالم. المسيح لم يقم في مدينة طبرية، إنما أقام حول مدينة فيها عمل معظم معجزاته، على مياهها مشى،
British politicians of the early 20th century had a distorted view of Palestinian society, frequently labeling it as Mohammedan, despite the population including over 100,000 Palestinian Christians.
They did not regard them as yet belonging to either an Arab national group in general or to local national groups. The only way they were able to view them was as a religious group of believers. So I think they missed the point, for instance, that Christians and Muslims actually founded a new identity, not a religious one, but a national one.
حالة المسيحيين الشرقيين غير موجودة. هنالك مأزق لدى الاستعمار عندما يستخدم الثيولوجيا المسيحية في الرؤية المنطقة والشرق الأوسط اللي أدت إلى تبني الصهيونية فيما بعد، مأزق في التعامل مع المسيحية الشرقية. يعني هذه تشكل مش موجودة في عالمه، ولذلك يحاول أنه ينكر وجودها أصلا، يعني لأنه مجرد وجودها بتربك كل الصورة.
By 1933, protests against Jewish immigration were becoming ever more frequent in Palestine. Women took part side by side with men. The British authorities cracked down on demonstrations and arrested thousands. Many were killed and wounded. Musa Kazim al-Husseini, the 80-year-old former mayor of Jerusalem, was beaten by British soldiers during a demonstration in Jaffa. He later died of his injuries. The British authorities became ever more heavy-handed. This letter was written by a Palestinian policeman condemning the behavior of his British senior officer, John Faraday. A number of other complaints were filed against Faraday. The officer was never charged. 4 years later, Faraday was awarded the King's Police Medal for his valuable services in Palestine.
عدم رغبة بريطانيا بمنح المطالب الوطنية للشعب الفلسطيني وعدم رؤيتها للشعب الفلسطيني كمجموعة قومية وطنية ذات حقوق ومعاملتها على أساس إنها طوائف أدى في حين عاملت الوكالة اليهودية على أساس أنها ممثلة لمجموعة قومية. كل هذا مجتمعا أدى إلى تفاقم الوضع والصدام مع بريطانيا.
Only still images of the Palestinian demonstrations are available in the archives. Movie cameras did capture Jewish life in Palestine, as well as British pomp and ceremony. This footage shows the Star of David flag over the Tel Aviv municipality building. This is footage of work in the diamond factories of Tel Aviv. And this footage shows the flow of new immigrants and the building of new settlements. Footage of Palestinian life in the early 20th century proved more difficult to find. A Palestinian film archive had once existed, but had since been lost or gone mysteriously missing. We spent months searching for pictures of Palestinian lives. Eventually, in the vaults of the British Library, we found glimpses of this bygone era.
Most of the Palestinians, intellectuals, leaders, journalists, were still unaware how determined the Zionist movement is of dispossessing them from Palestine.
In the 1930s, the number of Jews immigrating to